Welcome to the channel. This will be another video on the science and technology series for the month of May, and this is the part 2 of the video series. So please watch it carefully. So the next topic is all about solar minimum. So what is basically solar minimum and why it is in news? And recently the sun has reached into a state of solar minimum, as the words are saying that it is in a minimum state. So it has been more than 100 days since the sun has shown 0 sunspots. This sunspots. So basically sun is to enter into the deepest period of sunshine recession. Okay, so this is the context basically. Next we will see what is the actual scenario. Now it is also already a part of the solar cycle. So what is the solar cycle basically? The cycle of the sun lasts for 11 years, roughly around 11 years, some plus minus 2 years maybe, or 1 or 2 years, it depends. And this is also called the solar magnetic activity cycle. That means the magnetic activity of the sun is also changed along with this 11-year time frame. And the sun cycle is also called the solar magnetic activity cycle, and it exists for 11 years and is measured in terms of sunspots on the surface of the sun. So it is measured from the number of sunspots present. So the sunspots were observed in the early 17th century. It was first observed, the sunspots were first observed by the scientist Galileo in the 17th century. So under the sun cycle, the sun is having solar maximum and solar minimum, and it refers to the periods of maximum and minimum sunspot activity in every 11 years. So in every 11-year, large scale dipolar magnetic field component of the sun also flips. What it means that likewise the earth, the sun is also having a magnetic north and magnetic south. So in every 11-year time frame, this north and south pole, they are flipping. Okay, and this is nothing but the dipolar magnetic field also flips. And the level of solar radiation and the ejection of solar radiation, number and the size of sunspots, solar flares and the coronal loops all exhibit a synchronized fluctuation. So in this 11-year, it goes from an active to quiet and to active again with this period of 11 years. So these are the parameters, or these are the observations from which the solar cycle is diagnosed. Now in this graph one can see the time frame, geological time frame of the solar cycle. As you can see, around this time frame of this time, that is around 1990, there is a solar maximum happened, and around this 1995 or 96 there is a period of solar minimum. So now we are into the 2020. Here you can see, as per this time frame or as per this graph, we should witness a solar minimum at this point, as you can see here. And you can also observe that this is a period of 11, almost around 11 years. As you can see, from this to around this, it is almost around 11 years. Okay, it is almost around 11 years. Okay, so What is the consequence? That is why solar minimum is happening and how it will impact on the earth. That's to say, what is the consequence? Now, right now we are at the bottom of 11-year cycle, as we have seen in the previous graph. We are at the bottom of this 11-year cycle. That means so the sunspots fade away and bringing a period of relative calm, and which is bringing a period of relative calmness in the sun. So basically to say, the sun is less angry at this moment, bringing the period of relative calm, which is called the solar minimum. It is a regular part of the sunspot cycle, and the solar intense activity of the sunspots and solar flares subside during the solar minimum period, and the sun magnetic field also weakens in this time. As it is getting weakened, it provides less shielding from the other cosmic rays. It provides less shielding from other cosmic rays and space radiation. Now in space there is a huge radiation from the many cosmic rays. As the sun's magnetic field is weakened in this period, so the other cosmic rays, they will be very active throughout the space, and it will provide less shielding to the various structures or the astronauts in the space. So Earth's upper atmosphere will cool down. Now as you know, this is our Earth, and this is the north and the south, magnetic north and magnetic south, say, and from here the magnetic line will generate, or magnetic field will be looking like this, right? Magnetic field will be looking like this. And as the solar flare come and hit, or the cosmic ray come and hit, you can see the aurora, phenomenon of aurora in the polar regions here, okay, in the North Pole around Norway or Green Iceland. You can see this phenomenon of aurora. So basically there, since the magnetic field is weakened, there will be less aurora visible, or there will be relative cool down into the Earth's upper atmosphere. So basically, why it is important? It is, yeah. So this is important. The heat in the Leo or low Earth orbit is important to keep the space debris and the man-made junk away from the Earth. As you can see in the first topic, that there are space junks. There are space junks, the space debris, which are floating in the Leo, and as the Leo is cooled down, the space junks or the other objects which is coming towards the Earth, they will not burn in the they will not burn. You know that meteorites burn while coming towards the Earth. As the the Earth's atmosphere is cooling down, there will be less burn of the objects, so it is detrimental for the Earth. And next, it will change the space weather significantly. And next is increase in the number of galactic cosmic rays. These are the consequences. Next, see what is the solar maximum then. So solar maximum is nothing but period of greatest sun's activity during the 11-year solar cycle. In this time, there will be large number of sunspots. Solar irradiation output grows simply. So that means the sun is angriest at this moment. As you can see in this picture, this is the maximum. As you can see, there are more number of sunspots, more number of solar flares, more number of coronal discharges. In the solar minimum you can see less number of sunspots. So this is the distinction between the two phases of the sun. Large solar flares are often seen during the maximum time. Sun sends a billion tons of clouds of electrified ions into the space. This is also very detrimental for the Earth. This is very detrimental for the Earth because the most of the satellites, GPS antennas, and the electrical grids, they may get filled with such huge number of electrified ions. So it's a very detrimental, and more auroras can be seen in this time due to more intense activity of the magnetic field of the Earth with the electrified ions. So what is the impact? Power outages, as I have said, there will be more power outages because electrical grids will be tripped, the satellite will be malfunctioned, communication system will be disrupted, GPS receiver may not work properly. So these are the solar maximum. So in this topic we will see the UV light and viruses. What is the effect of UV light on viruses and what is the recent development? So basically the scientists are studying the use of ultraviolet germicidal irradiation, or in short UVGI. So UVGI is nothing but ultraviolet germicidal irradiation. So this is the process which is used to detect the virus in the public places like schools, restaurants and other public places. So the UV lights would be able to disinfect the contaminated public spaces to stop the transmission of the virus. So let's see what is a UV light. So a UV light is a part of the electromagnetic spectrum, as you can see, the full spectrum. So this part is the ultraviolet range, as you can see this is the ultraviolet range, and this is the whole EM spectrum, that I have already used in previous topics. And in this ultraviolet spectrum from 100 nanometer to 400 nanometers, so this is a shorter wavelength. As we are going towards this side, the wavelength is getting shorter. That means X-ray, gamma rays, cosmic rays, these are also very short wavelength. And as we go in this side of the electromagnetic spectrum, the infrared, the microwaves and the radio waves, these are having the longer wavelengths, and this part is the visible spectrum of the light. Here the human eye is able to visualize the pictures. So just below it is the ultraviolet range. So basically it is not visible to human eye because human eye can visualize only from here to here. So in ultraviolet range we can see there are some classification. It is broadly classified into ultraviolet A, B and C, and this is a vacuum EV, which is of less importance as of now. And this A, B, C is the three classification. They differ in the biological activity. UV light kills the cells and increased exposure can cause the cells to be damaged or cells to become carcinogenic, that means cancerous. That is to say that cells will be damaged if it is exposed to the UV lights, and it poses a greater risk of getting cancer. So how the UVGI is working? The UVGI is basically working taking into the beneficial trends of the UV light. So, certain UV wavelengths modifies the genetic material, that is DNA of the microorganisms, such as the recent SARS-CoV-2 virus. So, they destroy the ability to reproduce. So, UVGI uses the destructive properties of the UV light to target the pathogens, and UVGI replicates the UV wavelengths that particularly disinfect the contaminated spaces, air and water. So, UVGI will be some arrangement of a particular wavelength of UV lights which will disinfect the contaminated spaces such as the hospitals, nursing homes and restaurants, or the public places, airports, or the many other public places. So, UVGI lamps can be mounted on the walls or suspended from the ceilings. As you can see, this is the room of a hospital. Let's say this is the patient's bed. You can see there is a UV lamp which is fitted in here, and this can be mounted on the wall, suspended, or similar to a fluorescent light. This can be one light fittings will be fitted onto the wall here, and this light will emit the UV radiation, and this is fitted in the upper interior of the surface of the room, and it will trap the pathogens. Now, installing a fan can further draw air upward, which increases the speed of the UVGI functioning. Why? Because if you see, if there is a inlet from here, the air will enter into a room like this, and it will be circulating. And the more air will be exposed to the UV lamp, the more the virus will be destroyed, or the more the room will be sterilized. So, this is how UVGI is working. So, next we will see the UVGI limitation. What are the limitations? Now, UVGI is basically effective in preventing infections, that is chiefly spreading through small droplets. So, basically it will control the infections which are spreading through small droplets, like sneezing from the human nose, or coughing, through which the viruses or infections are spreading through small droplets, but it is ineffective in the direct contacts. That is to say, when a person is coming into contact with a surface, or a person who is a direct carrier of that pathogen will be exposed to that pathogen. So, it is a disadvantage. Now, while using UVGI, it is important to consider the factors such as sensitivity of the microorganisms, the dose of the UVGI, and the humidity and the weather conditions of the surrounding. These are the limitations. Now, UVGI also relies on air circulation inside a room. So, inside the room, the fans or some blowers or two blowers or some circulation mechanism should be there. Only then UVGI will work perfectly. Now, UVGI on a mass scale is not the most cost effective solution, because there will be more arrangement, more fittings and more installations of different equipments. So, it is involving a huge number of costs, huge number of money. So, that is the limitation. So, next topic is the UV blaster. Now, UV blaster is nothing but the DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization, has developed the ultraviolet disinfection tower. This is the tower, and this is a chemical free. This will be a chemical free and a rapid disinfection. Chemical free rapid disinfection mechanism. The tower will be highly useful in the high infection prone areas such as the offices, buildings and other areas, and this is named as UV blaster, and it is developed in collaboration with LASTEC. LASTEC is a DRDO lab which stands for the Laser Science and Technology Center, and a private company named New Age Instruments and Materials Private Limited in Gurugram. And this particular UV blaster will be useful for high-tech surfaces which are not able to clean or not capable for the cleaning purposes with chemicals, and it will be able to clean by the UV blaster, like the electronic equipment, the computers and the other gadgets in the laboratories. This can be effectively cleaned by this UV blaster. So it can be easily installed into the large effective areas with a large flow of people, such as the airports, shopping malls, metros or the train stations, hotels, factories, offices, etc. And it can be operated, the tower can be operated through mobile phone remotely or through laptop remotely. Okay, and there are 6 lamps of 43 watts. As you can see here, there are 6 lamps with 43 watt, and the lamps will emit ultraviolet light of wavelength of 254 nm to 254 nm in the 360 degrees. That means it is capable of disinfecting the whole surrounding space easily and rapidly, and it is also the device is also capable of operating in manual mode also. So for a 12 by 12 feet 12 by 12 square feet of room, this particular machine will take, UV blaster will take around 10 minutes to clean the whole room. So again a news from DRDO. The DRDO has developed an ultra Swachh. What is ultra Swachh? We will learn in this topic. So DRDO has developed a disinfection unit named as Ultra Swachh to disinfect a wide range of items of materials, that is PPEs or the electronic items and fabrics, etc. And Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences, or INMAS, which is again a DRDO lab based in Delhi, with the industry partner of Gelcraft Healthcare Private Limited of Ghaziabad. They have developed this particular ultra Swachh mechanism, which is shown here. It is something like a freezer and the refrigerated space kind of thing, where the PPEs are put, or the equipments, mobile equipments or other electronic gadgets are put, and then the doors are shut, and so the methods, there is a method which is used for it. So what is the method? The system is using the advanced oxidative process or ozonization. Now the ozone is more effective in than chlorine in destroying viruses and bacteria. Now ozone is oxidizing, basically There's ozone. Ozone is having high oxidation or oxidative properties, high oxidizing properties, and it oxidizes the organic materials, manganese, iron, etc. Ozone is highly unstable. It is a highly unstable material, unstable gas, and it oxidizes to form oxygen within 15 to 20 seconds. This property of ozone is basically used in disinfection. Because of its high oxidizing potential, the ozone disinfects or rather oxidizes the cell components when cellular wall or membrane of a cell gets damaged. Cell membranes got damaged. So when a cellular wall or membrane of a cell get damaged, the cells fall apart. This process is called the lysis. It is through this process the ozone oxidizes or kills the microorganism. This is how it kills the microorganisms. Okay. So this is the system of double layered specialized ozone sealant technology. As we have seen in the previous picture, as you can see here, it's a double layered. Here you can see these are the layers through which the ozones will be sprayed, or ozones will be passed to the PP equipments or the electronic gadgets here, and through this the property of rapid oxidation potential or huge oxidation potential, the surfaces will be cleaned. Okay. Here double layered specialized ozone sealant technology. It also has a catalytic converter to ensure the environmentally friendly exhaust will be ensured. You may be knowing that these catalytic converters are fixed onto the vehicles, the cars and the automobiles, to reduce the emission, and so it is in compliance with the international standards or the occupational and personal and environmental safety also. So there are two variants of this, namely the ozonated space and the Trinetra technology. This Trinetra technology is basically a combination of ozonated space and radical dispenser. The treatment is optimized with automation. So basically this is automation technique. That means automatically it is performing its tasks for quick disinfection. So defense, the DRDO, sorry, not DRDO, it is DIAT. DIAT is the Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, DIAT. It is also a part of DRDO, which is in Pune. It has designed a microwave sterilizer called ATULYA, and this device, this sterilizer, uses differential heating. So basically a microwave is used to heat the food stuff. So this is also uses its heating capability in the microwave range to disintegrate the virus in the range of 56 to 60 degrees centigrade. So this is the device you can see, and this is the device. So the operator will carry this, and from here the microwave heat will be exposed to the surfaces, and the exposed surfaces will be exposed surfaces will be sterilized, and this is a very less weight, as having just 3 kgs, and the time of sterilization is between 30 seconds to 1 minute, and this is said to be one of the most cost effective solutions to sterilize the surfaces. It's a cost effective solution, and rather than using biological agents, it will be less reactive on to the humans. It will be less reactive to the humans. So let's learn what is the sterilization. It basically refers to a process that eliminates and removes or kills and deactivates all forms of life, particularly referring to the microorganisms or such as fungi, bacteria, viruses, etc. And the sterilization process basically uses dry heat, pressure, then gas vapor, and the UV radiation, and chlorine gas. These are the mechanisms in the sterilization process, and there is a different chemical sterilization is also there. In chemical sterilization, the ethylene oxide and nitrogen dioxide and ozone, formaldehyde, hydrogen peroxide, they are used in chemical sterilization, just to remember. And sterilization is also done using radiation. So these are the different methods of sterilization.